Welcome. If you've been to previous webinars, welcome back. For those of you who are new to them, hello and welcome. My name is Haylie. I'm the education consultant here at Education City. And today what we're going to be looking at is blended learning with Education City. So one of the advantages of Education City is that it has that duality in terms of being useful for face-to-face in the classroom, teaching and learning, but it also can be used sort of online for remote learning as well. So today, what we're going to be looking at are, in particular, we're going to keep it really, really sort of simple in a sense. The My Cities planning and allocating work, a couple of details around those as well. Included with that, the resources that I think are beneficial for remote learning, as well as sort of in classroom learning. And then obviously being able to track progress. Many students up and down the country are or have been away from school for nearly a year. So we want to provide you with that way of being able to track whereabouts your pupils are at, find those gaps in the learning, and then sort of being able to address those as well. Now, as always, if you have any questions for me, I do love any questions that you might have. There is a Q&A button on the on your tab as you open it up. So it says Q&A with like little speech bubbles. You can type in a question there. What that will do is it will ping up on my screen and I'll be able to answer that for you live. There is the option within that to ask questions anonymously as well, if you would prefer to do that. There is the chat function, but do be aware I won't be able to see that unless I click into the chat. So the Q&A bit is a lot better and easy to use for yourselves as well. As always, the account I'm going to be using is a made-up school. So please don't worry about any names, pupils or staff that you might see. They are completely made up. And it is also an English account. So if you're joining me today from outside of England, just be aware that there might be some differences, but I will point those out as we're going through. So heading into Education City, go.educationcity.com. And here we are. As I said, our main focus today is going to be within the My City area. So heading in, you see you've got the homework and classwork just here. And I've already made a start in planning for a unit. I always used to love it when I was teaching. We used to plan against books. Books, love reading. One of my favourite units to plan against was The Secret Garden because it was just brilliant. I loved it. So you can see here I've started sort of creating my folders for science, maths and English for this particular unit. So plants, obviously, Secret Garden. You might do measurements or statistics or something in maths or numeracy, and in English, description, as well as maybe writing some instructions for growing a plant or something there. So you can see I've already started compiling some of the pieces from Education City. There's a couple of things in here already. Benefit is because I'm using this for planning, I can pop some little notes in there for myself. This is just for me. I've popped these resources in. This is just for myself. But these are the sort of things that you can use on whatever online learning platform that you use for remote learning, remote teaching with your pupils. Starting off with, we have a Think It just here, recognisable via that little thought bubble. And this is the sort of thing that would really kick your lesson off. So we've got to think it. Welcome to today's lesson. I want you to write down as many descriptive words as you can to describe this scene. That's the sort of thing, sort of you kick it off, you get that brain warmed up, a bit of a brain warmer, if you will. Maybe as you're doing the register, they answer with an adjective describing this scene. So it's sort of introducing that area, that unit of work as well. How many descriptive words can you think of to describe this scene? Had a bit of a question already. Oh, Sophia, I'm so pleased that you'd like to subscribe today. What I'll do is, Sophia, at the very end, I'll provide you with my email address and you can send over your information and I'll get back to you about subscribing to Education City. There we go. Thank you for that. So once we've done that, we've done the register, everybody's given me their adjectives. Maybe we have a bit of a talk about adjectives. What are they? What do they do? Heading back into the My City area, you might even go through a learn screen about adjectives with your pupils there as well. So this particular one, this looks at a piece of work that Meg has written, how we can make it better with some great adjectives. Again, you can have a look through. Clara Loft went into the cave. Where would we put the adjective? How might we describe the cave? Have a bit of a chat about that. Because this is a learn screen, you can use the pause, play, rewind and fast forward buttons, or you can use the scene selector at the top there as well. So adding in interesting adjectives, what does she use? Let's go to the next one. Maybe you could say to everybody, okay, I want you to think of 3 different adjectives you could use in this sentence. Write them down in your notebook. A couple of people can share them. Good old Lolly Lotto to pick those students that can share. Again, moving on.
Well, look at this sentence.
She's going forward again.
Try this. Use your 5
looking
senses
at
to brainstorm
think what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it tastes like, what it smells like, and what it feels like, using your senses to provide those adjectives. And again, working your way through those slides, it's the sort of thing you could really easily pop into a folder for students to work through as well. So we've done our adjectives just here. We've had a bit of a brain warmer. We've moved on to our adjectives, reminding ourselves what an adjective is. Then we're going to look at describing a setting. If you've got one, maybe a thing in there that you don't particularly want to use, don't worry. Hold down your mouse button, drag towards the top, and you can delete that just there. And then we've got the one here that we do want to use. So we've looked at describing adjectives. Now we're going to start in terms of describing our setting. So we've got this this part series here, learn screen and activity. Remember, learn screen will tell you if it's linked with an activity and vice versa. Really, really handy because you know you can use one after the other. You sort of pair them up essentially. So these are great, heading home for students, drafting the fantasy setting and then describing that plot. Heading a little bit further down here, you can see I've got my Jungle Books just here. This is about factual writing, so maybe these are best for my instructions. I'm not going to pop those in just yet, but maybe I do want them to remember to know the difference between a question or command. I'm not going to create a new folder. Instead, what I'm going to do is make sure I save those changes, head back along our breadcrumb trail just here, select this folder. As you can see just there, I've put the little tick in the box, head over to actions and create a copy. So instead of creating a brand new folder of work, I'm creating a copy for my pupils. I'm going to edit what's in there and then allocate it. So I'm going to call this one pupils. Okay. And here are all those resources. So we're going to take out everything that we don't want in there. We're not doing this yet. We can even click in the boxes just here to remove those resources that we don't want them to see just yet and delete those. And you can see that those are the resources that I want them to focus on. I want them to look at adjectives and describing just there. I've popped a topic tool in, as you can see just here by the little teacher pointing at a board, just to remind them the differences between a question, a command and a statement. And a game at the end, maybe a bit of a reward for the end of the session. So I'm going to take this out just here. We don't want to see that just yet. Instead, I can add a little comment in, we're going to be writing a description, something like that, just to help them along with their learning. And then we're obviously going to go through, allocate to students, publish to them by the preferences, and obviously edit what needs to be edited down there so that we can track who's done what. So I'm just going to select my class just here and publish that just there. I'm going to publish this indefinitely because the benefit of doing that, again, if I head back to my City folders, means that I can just keep adding resources in. Instead of creating a new folder every single time I do a lesson, I'm just going to add more resources in. So this is what they're doing at home. This is what I'm doing in terms of my planning folder. I could even have another one that I'm using for my remote learning instruction. Now I can see we've had a couple of questions. Becky, is this a new function? Yes, relatively new. When we did all of the updates, we refreshed EducationCity, made it all HTML5 updated. This was a part that we realised creating the copies and obviously being able to share those copies is something that is beneficial to everybody, really. EducationCity is for schools or educational facilities, I should say. It's not a home educator product, it is for schools, but we have offered all schools up and down the UK free access to EducationCity. So do get in touch with your child's school because they may have it. And if they haven't, you can always send them our way to get that free access. Now then, back in that folder of learning, we've done that brain warmer. We've got the brain warmed up. We've looked at adjectives and the use of adjectives. Maybe we'll look a little bit at verbs and adverbs about Clara going into that cave just there. This is what the students are doing. We could even go through that with our students and show them that this is what you'll be doing. We can model that with our students. And we're not going to touch upon these just yet. We might sort of go into the word wheel topic tool just here and have a bit of a refresh of what is a command, what is a statement, and what is a question. Maybe if the children have got 3 bits of paper at home, we've got an exclamation mark on one, a question mark on another, and a full stop at the other one. They can hold it up, recognizing which is a statement, which is a command, and which is a question. There we go. We can just spin one of those as well. So let's find an exclamation. How do we know it's an exclamation? There we go. So again, the sort of thing you can share via your online learning platform with your students. It's a bit of fun, bit of a fun way to address that area of learning. Ooh, there we go. Just pause that for a moment. And then once you've finished the lesson, nothing is better than a great educational game. And our Play Live is one of those. Now, these are the sort of things that, because they are online, there's a couple of ways of playing them. First thing is, you can ask your students to log on at home and maybe you can compete against a couple of those as yourself. They do like a bit of competition with the teacher. The other way of doing it is heading into EducationCity here. We're going to select anyone at school or anyone in their class. So I'm going to select the school. There we go. And this is where your letters will appear. So you could always say to students, okay, I want you to create as many words as you can in the time that you have. Ready, steady, go. And you can see here you've got those letters. So we can sort of go for glad maybe, sun. You get the drift, but this is the sort of thing you could pop up onto your remote learning platform, have your students whiteboards or in their notebooks even writing down as many words as they can find. Again, the benefit of doing it that way is if you've got any pupils that struggle, maybe let them sort of choose letters from anywhere to create their words. So it's more of a fun sort of whole class game, and they can compare what they've got at the end there, maybe award points if you've got 3-letter words, you get 3 points. If you've got 4-letter words, you get 4 points. And see who's got the most letters. See who's got the most interesting word as well. So really, really valuable. Even though it's a game, it's still educational. Heading back up the top here, just a refresh. We've done a brain warmer. We've gone into a little bit of grammar just here, and then gone into the main sort of subject, the main content of the lesson. We've maybe done a bit of a plenary at the end or an extension using either the topic tool or the game. And we could always go back into the Think It and have a look at the answers that Stig gave. And then he's got that introduction, write a spooky story. Maybe that could be a little bit of home learning. Maybe that could be the lead into the next lesson. It's really, really valuable because you've got those 2-parters just there. Question, introduction, brain warmer, and then that next step, that extension, if you will. Back up to the top here, just checking we've got no questions. Please do ask questions if there's anything that you wish to know. I'm just going to head it back along here. So I've got my planning folder just here. I've got the folder of work that my students can see, and I can keep adding resources into that folder. So we can head in here and we can take something out, again, drag towards the top and add something in. Maybe like our new reading comprehensions. We've got some great reading comprehensions. There we go. And you'll find these as part of the videos. The videos will read out the information to students, and the activity sheet that comes with it will have questions on. So again, that's always an activity you can add into folder for students to do as well. There we go. Whole range of resources there, absolutely loads of them. Just make sure we save those changes when we come out. Now, I mentioned earlier as well, in addition to those My Cities, obviously you can plan, you can do your remote learning or remote teaching from them, I should say. Students can do their remote learning from them, as well as any home learning that they wish to do. And obviously you've got those different resources that all have those sort of really, really valuable uses in terms of lessons. We do have our activities that are marked for you. In addition are our assessments just here that are marked for you as well. So all of that data is compiled into the success tracker, which is just here. You can see where it says scores and reports just there. And what this enables you to do is to have a look for the data, maybe for the past year you could look at, for the past month, however long for. I'm just selecting a random date just there. And you can start to get a bit of an insight as to where the gaps lie amongst your students. Now, really, really useful. You can filter down last name just here. Remember, all of these pupils are made up, so don't worry about any of this information. And you can always export to an Excel spreadsheet. So you can really, that information is so valuable. You can always sort of edit it and adapt it to whatever tracking format you use as well. We've had a bit of a question here. Becky, it isn't available to show as a graph, but the great thing is because it is exported to an Excel, the Excel will show graphs there as well. I hope that answers that. So no, it doesn't, but yes, it does, if that makes sense. So no, there are no graphs on EducationCity, but because you can export to the Excel will show you those graphs there. I hope that makes sense to you. There we go. Benefit is as well, you can see assessment and activities just there, those different tool types. You've got those content titles, and we can even edit the columns to have a look at any objectives that were met just there. We can take off ones that maybe we're not really fussed about, don't really want to know those, but we do want to know the objectives that have been achieved, the questions they had available and the questions that they attempted maybe. And you can see now really, really easily any objectives that have been met by students. You can even click into that information to see the answers that they got incorrect just there as well. If you're feeling really generous, you might even print them off as a certificate. There we go. And really valuable, you can look for a specific group or an individual pupil as well. There we go. Let's have a look for Henry here. We can see what Henry's been up to. And again, that data can be exported. So you can export for the whole class, for your groups, or for individuals. Another question just here. Yes, Becky. So once you've exported to an Excel, you would then sort of save it as an Excel, or obviously edit and adapt it, create those graphs or charts as you wish to, and then save as an Excel. The benefit of EducationCity, because you can change those dates, you can keep sort of editing that exported spreadsheet, if you will, because you can look for a term, a half term, an academic year, a key stage, a level, whatever you wish to look for. So you can keep exporting those Excels to appeal to whatever area it is that you wish to address. Really lovely question. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. There we go. So back on the homepage, I mentioned about the tracking. You can obviously track all your pupils and all assessments and activities that have been completed via the success tracker. Alternatively, over here on your right hand side of the screen, and this is only available on the new view. So if you're on the classic view, that looks like this, click on the ribbon just there and you'll see the new view just here. And you've got here your work overview. Now, the benefit of this is that you can find a folder of work that you've set. So for example, that Secret Garden English for my pupils just here, and you've got a really clear color-coded system as to who's done what. So number of students not attempted yet, you can click on that, hover over it, you can see not attempted, 21 pupils. Attempted but not scored the 80% pass rate would be amber, and attempted and scored above the 80% pass rate would be green. And we can even sort of take those out to just look at specific areas. And if you click to see more detail just here, it will take you into the folder itself where you can have a look at specific students and their details in terms of their scores and what they've got for each score. Again, really simple color-coded system here. Grey, not attempted. Amber, it's in progress or completed, but not to that 80%, 80% above. And if you want to really challenge your students, or you're finding that most of your students are not getting that 80%, head back into the preferences, scroll down to the minimum score, and you can always update that if you wish to. Just make sure to save. And then if we head back to the home page, you'll see just here, not all content secured to that 75. So that percentage rate will change depending upon the pass rate that you have set as well. There we go. So if I head back over here, My Cities, remember that you don't necessarily have to create new ones. You can always copy sort of your planning folders if you wish to, edit and adapt those. And if you're creating folders of work for remote learning, you can always add to it and remove some as well. So you don't always have to create a new folder for every single lesson or for every single unit of work that you do. Just edit and adapt what is in there. Those different resources have those different purposes. Think it's great brain warmers for the beginning of a lesson. Okay, let's get that brain warm. Tell me what you know. Really do have a look at those. They are brilliant. Also great for independent discussion, debate work. And if you're looking in maths, great for mastery maths as well. And in science, investigations, do have a look at those Think Kits. You've got the learn screens and the activities that are linked together in many cases, so do have a look for those as well. And obviously activities marked for you, and that data is part of the success tracker. Then you've got those videos in terms of the reading comprehensions that you can have a look at. Do have a look at those, as well as the topic tools that can be used for remote teaching and those games. Remember, all games on Education City are educational and a lot of fun. Do have a look at those as well. And like I said, the tracking within the Success Tracker area, you can download that data into an Excel spreadsheet, create graphs, create grids, edit and adapt to whatever platform you use for your tracking. And you can also sort of edit and adapt for groups of students, individuals, as well as classes. Anybody got any more questions? We've had some brilliant questions tonight. I'm just wondering if anybody else has got any more questions. I can see the chat. Margaret, thank you for that. Yeah, the copying of the My Cities is extremely helpful, extremely helpful. It does save you an awful lot of time because you can create as many copies as you need to and then edit and adapt those folders to your different groups of students as well. So really, really good for differentiation, that particular process there as well. Thank you very much, Gillian. Thank you. Well, as always, if you have got any further questions, any queries, or you're not yet using Education City and you want to know a little bit more, do get in touch. Our email address just there, customerservice@educationcity.com. That's customerservice@educationcity.com. And you can always make it for the attention of myself, for the attention of Haylie, and I'll be able to access that. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. Some lovely words in the chat box. Thank you. As always, I do hope to see you at future webinars. We do have a CPD accredited webinar coming up soon. Check those out on the webinar page of Education City. And it's not too late to sign up for that CPD accredited webinar as well. I do hope to see you then. But until then, take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.